What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Got a little bit of news for you today regarding German destroyers. And I know that, and I guess the best thing to say is that views on these are tepid at the most. I don't see a lot of excitement in the community for the destroyer tech tree split for German destroyers, despite, the fact we're getting more destroyers. And I happen to love destroyers, but I think a lot of players feel that the German destroyer line has already been power crept enough that they're just not excited for more German destroyers. And it's unfortunate because I felt that in the beginning the German destroyer line was very viable. It was a fun line. It had a lot of redeeming aspects to it. They were great destroyer hunters. They really were, but they just became eclipsed by other classes, even the Japanese destroyer tech tree split, which gave us the Haragumo and the Kitakaze, which could absolutely melt other ships, daring, and then pan-European destroyers. They just got power crept into oblivion, to the point that I really don't see German destroyers roaming the seas that much anymore. And it's unfortunate because they did used to be really, really good and enjoyable. So anyhow, we've got this split, and already there are super test changes to the ships. So I'm going to run through those real quick and just talk about what the implications of those changes mean for the split and German destroyers in general. So starting with the Tier 7 Z-31, they've removed the hydroacoustic search consumable, they've added smoke generator, little less things to care about right now. The angle at which the check for ricochets is made for AP shells increased from 45 to 60 degrees. Guaranteed ricochet angle for AP shells increased from 60 to 67.5 degrees. Those two little tidbits right there probably don't matter that much if you don't get too deep into the mechanics of the game, which I suspect is probably about 99% of you all out there. The big takeaway that you care about is the hydroacoustic search being removed. Moving on to the Tier 8 Gustav Julius Maerker, they removed the defensive AA fire and hydroacoustic search consumables, which in my opinion is a big blow right there. I mean, having defensive AA is always nice on a destroyer, especially in the days of CVs. Added the smoke generator consumable. They did increase the deck armor thickness from 19 to 25 millimeters. And then once again, same thing with the ricochet angles, same exact thing as the Z-31. Moving on to the Tier 9 Felix Schultz. Torpedo tubes reload time reduced from 120 to 90 seconds. That's a pretty big buff for the reload time right there. But once again, take a wild guess what they did. They removed the hydroacoustic search consumable. And they added the smoke generator consumable. Deck armor thickness has been increased from 19 to 25 millimeters, just like the Gustav. No changes to the ricochet angles on this though. And lastly, this brings us to the Tier 10 Elbing. They removed the hydroacoustic search consumable and added smoke generator consumable. No other changes. In their notes for this, Wargaming says hydroacoustic search is most useful for destroyers when fighting other destroyers for caps. However, this is not a primary goal for the new German destroyers. Instead of hydroacoustic search, we added a smoke generator, which will increase their survivability and allow them to effectively use one of their main features, their powerful main battery guns. So there you have it. We've got some pretty significant changes right there, and there's also a change to a premium destroyer, the Tier 9 ZF6, main battery reload time reduced from 5 to 4 seconds, and torpedo tube reload time reduced from 120 to 90 seconds. So what does this tell you right now? Well, if you're a fan of German destroyers and the way they used to play, you're probably not that happy right now, and I can understand that. Now, one might think that Wargaming is trying to bring this line of German destroyers in line with the Z-44, which I think I was one of the few, if not the only CC that actually liked that destroyer, with its torpedo reload, which was akin to the T-61. But that's not the case. They're not making these torpedo boats. These are strictly going to be gunboats. They've got big guns at 150 millimeters, and they are slow reloading, or at least as far as destroyers are concerned, these are slow reloading. So it's nice that they have powerful guns and they want you to focus on the powerful guns, but the problem with that is powerful guns don't mean anything if you have a slow reload. I mean, we talk about the ZF6, that premium ship I mentioned, main battery reload time reduced from 5 to 4 seconds. Well, that's great if your guns are strong, but when you've got other ships out there that have a reload of 2 or 3 seconds, it's still going to get melted. It's still going to face issues coming up against ships like Småland and Holland and other high-tier radar destroyers that are able to light it up while it's in smoke, or ones that have hydro, British destroyers. I mean, really, I see issues with this line already. And obviously, I want to give it a chance. I love destroyers, and, it's awesome that we're getting new destroyers, and German destroyers at that, because I used to love the German nation and the tech tree. They had some great ships, but they're all power crap. So, if you try and contest a cap in these ships, even if you're in smoke, you're still inviting disaster. Even if your guns are strong, you're still inviting disaster, because strong guns really don't mean much, like I said, if you have a slow reload on them going up against the other destroyers that are in the game right now. So, while on paper these seem like interesting ships, and a new class of German destroyer sounds fun, I really don't want strong guns right now. I want fast-firing guns. I want fast-firing guns, and, I honestly think the lack of hydro is really, really going to hurt these German destroyers. That's what killed people's desire to get the Z-44. The fact that it did not have hydro, and it just played so differently than all the other German destroyers out there. And I can understand Wargaming's desire to make a line of ships that plays differently within the same nation. I mean, variety is good, but you're taking one of the nations that was the biggest power creep nation, and you're basically taking away the one thing that keeps it viable in this current meta, and I just don't think that's going to work out that well. That's just a personal feeling. That's just my personal thought on it. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more testing of these ships. We're going to go through. We're going to see how they work, and who knows, maybe they'll re-add hydro. I highly doubt that, though, for some reason. It seems like they're steadfast in their decision to move away from hydro for this line and move away from making these destroyers DD hunters, which, traditionally that's what I usually think of German destroyers as. So, yeah, I was excited at first. I'm not going to say I'm completely unexcited, but, I think the majority of the fan base right now, especially for German destroyers and German ships in general, is probably looking at these changes the way I am and saying that it's not something they really want to see. But, who knows? Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. We'll keep an open mind to it. So, that's your big news in World of Warships right now. I mean, I know there's other news that's gone on, but I'm sure you all have seen all that news, and there's no need to cover it, really, so it is what it is. Anyhow, I am excited for the upcoming versions that drop 10.2 and everything else. I'm really looking forward to the cosmetic makeover that this game's about to get. We're at the 5-year point. I think that's about when World of Tanks got its makeover, its extreme makeover, and it looked a lot better than its first rendition. So I know a lot of players out there don't have high-spec computers or top-of-the-line computers, so I know you probably won't be able to take advantage of it, but for those that do, you're going to get a slightly more beautiful looking game. I mean, it's already gorgeous. Sometimes I just love taking the heads-up display off the game and taking screenshots. I mean, the ambiance and everything else of this game is absolutely beautiful, so Wargaming has always done a great job with that. But anyhow, I want to know your thoughts on German destroyers, what you're thinking about this split, and whether or not you're excited for it or a little worried about it. So, hope you all are doing wonderful. I'll catch you all later. Zoop out.